It's time for us to meet Dr. Calvin Owusu, who is going to give us a little bit of an explanation of appetite loss on this health segment. Now, the health segment, we bring it because, there's so many challenges that we go through throughout our lives. And whether you're young, you're middle-aged, you're old, you have all kinds of health issues. And it's important for us to be able to bring our issues directly to our doctor. Now, Dr. Calvin Owusu has joined us already. If you want to send any message whilst we have this conversation, use the number 0550585832. The hashtag is Breakfast Daily. Dr. Calvin, good morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
I'm very well.
Fantastic. So, I was thinking about something. Appetite loss. And what's the difference between that and anorexia?
Well, anorexia is the medical term for loss of appetite. So it's the same, it's one and the same.
Oh. Oh.
But not,
okay.
not to be confused with anorexia nervosa.
Ah.
Now that is a condition.
Okay.
So
I was thinking about anorexia nervosa.
Exactly.
Okay.
I figured. So that's actually it's a psychological condition.
Okay.
People have image problems, due to societal pressures and all that, trying to maintain a particular thin figure, and so they go through a lot of stress to try to keep that figure, and it becomes some kind of compulsion, obsessive compulsive behavior, where even when they've eaten, they force the food back out because they don't want to gain any weight at all, and it becomes so severe that it begins to cause complications. So this is an extreme form of loss of appetite that is self-induced. It begins as a self-induced thing and eventually becomes a psychological complication that needs attention.
Okay, so generally speaking, what is loss of appetite, and then what are the causes?
So there's no definition for loss of appetite. It's a highly subjective experience. Where a person who would normally have eaten maybe 3-4 times a day, or may have eaten 2 plates of food, suddenly doesn't feel for eating 2 plates of food, may just end up eating a spoonful, and it's full. Now that could be caused by so many things. The most common causes, as we are aware, is ill health. So loss of appetite forms part of the constitutional symptoms for almost every disease you can think about. So loss of appetite, fever, maybe general malaise, general body pains. These usually are symptoms of almost everything. So anytime you have your body is not functioning at optimum levels, loss of appetite is one of the ways it presents. So bacterial infections, malaria, viral infections, even now we have coronavirus, all of these complications, all of these diseases can present with loss of appetite. But of course, that's just one aspect. There are other causes of loss of appetite. Societal pressure, financial issues, exams,
I just think about the fact that you are broke, so you don't feel like eating.
Exactly. I mean, you can be so broke that, you don't even want to go out and go and see food because you'll be tempted to buy the food with your last money. So, so many things can cause loss of appetite. But of course, there's also some of the things that cause, physiological state, So a pregnant woman, let me just cut the plenty English. A pregnant woman can also have loss of appetite. In fact, some people in the early parts of pregnancy, or the loss of appetite could actually make them go and test whether they are pregnant. So sometimes it could be the initial symptom of pregnancy. Of course, some pregnant women also have an increased appetite, and so it's not a one size fits all. Everybody is different. So some people react to it could be the same condition but different reaction from different people. So pregnancy is there. Cancer can also cause you to have loss of appetite. In fact, cancer itself can cause loss of appetite, and the treatment of cancer can also cause loss of appetite. But that's usually a reactionary effect, because when you're on treatment for cancer, one of the side effects of the treatment is vomiting. In fact, excessive vomiting. And so sometimes people try to reduce the vomiting by preventing food from entering their body. So it's a reaction to a side effect of the cancer treatment. And so it's one of those things. But loss of appetite is a very it has so many causes.
Okay, so would you say, I'm picking from what you said earlier on, would you say that a reduced desire to eat generally can be used to say that? Because, it could be from 2 plates to half a plate.
Yes.
Or from 1 plate to a spoon.
Yes.
you know, but a spoonful.
Yes, so a reduced desire or a lack of interest in food that can be the general definition for loss of appetite.
Okay. Now, I'm going to ask you one question, which I don't know whether you want to answer or not, but we'll talk about it after we talk about the treatment.
Okay.
Okay. But the question I have in my mind is that for some people who want to lose weight, how do you induce loss of appetite? how do you trigger it? Anyway, let's talk about causes first. Sorry, treatment for.
Okay. So most of the time, most of the time we don't treat loss of appetite.
Okay.
We treat the underlying problem, whatever is causing the loss of appetite to present. So the person comes in and has any infection. After doing the investigation, you identify that this is the problem causing the loss of appetite. When you treat that problem, the loss of appetite automatically takes care of itself.
Okay.
In fact, a return of appetite is one of the signs that you are getting better. So a child who's refusing to eat comes in, you start the treatment, and then this child now begins to eat adequately. You realize that even though he's not 100%, once the appetite is returning, you know that we are on the right path.
Okay.
So we don't treat the loss of appetite per se. Of course, there are other causes of loss of appetite that may need some form of direct treatment. So for instance, somebody has a brain issue, a tumor, because again, appetite is controlled from the brain.
From the brain, yeah.
So sometimes you might have a brain tumor that could be causing you to not feel the urge to even eat.
Yeah.
Or sometimes to overeat. So depending on whatever is going on, then you identify that this is the issue. Again, you go treating that particular, you deal with the tumor and the appetite returns. Yeah. If it doesn't return, you might need to then go on a time, what's it called, a strict diet plan that follows a time, because if that person doesn't have an urge to eat because there's a disruption in the communication, then somebody needs to make sure that he or she is following a strict diet. So you eat at 8 a.m., at 12 p.m., at 4 p.m., at 6 p.m., because that person will not come and tell you I'm hungry. And you see the body, or how do I put it, whether or not you have an urge to eat does not mean that your body is following that instinct.
Okay.
So what I mean is, if you are hungry, if it's time to eat, and you don't eat, your body is prepared, is in the process of preparing to receive food. So something like in the stomach, the acid production actually the acid release is started.
I see.
So if the food doesn't come into the stomach, then guess what? The acid begins to eat the stomach lining. Exactly. So then you have one of the complications of persistent loss of appetite is actually ulcer. So people with anorexia nervosa that I mentioned early on, they tend to have severe ulcer because they are stressing the body, because the acid is there for a purpose. And that purpose is not being served because there's no food coming in. And once the acid has been released, well, it will act on the surroundings. So you tend to have ulcer, which might lead to perforations and intestinal issues. So it's a very big problem that needs to be attended to.
So what if, is there any situation where somebody needs to be medically induced to eat?
Yes. Again, case in point, anorexia nervosa. Sometimes it gets so severe that you have to actually. I don't want to use the term, but that's the only one coming to mind. You have to force feed them. You may have to actually pass a tube into the stomach to put food in there because they are refusing to eat. And some people also there are some psychiatric issues where the person will not be cooperative, will not even want to eat. Again, you may have to, because you know how important food is. You see, there are ways of feeding people through their veins and all that. Those ones are there, but they are for short duration, and so even if you were to give that person some intravenous nutrition, after a while you have to go to the normal route, because like I said, once it's time to eat and you're not eating, there are processes that are already initiated that need food to prevent them from going haywire. So even though you can give food by intravenous routes, it's not something that you can do all the time. So sometimes you might have to put in a tube into the stomach and then feed that person. If it's an old person, for instance, who is refusing to eat, sometimes we'll do that. And so food is important. That's the summary of the whole thing. It's very, very important that you eat when it's time to eat. Otherwise, the complications will arise as a result of your not eating.
So there's something also I've just thought about. Your activity level impacts on how much energy you put out and therefore how much you need
You
to
have to
replace.
Yes.
You know, now is there any condition that, not that you want to slow down per se, but is there any condition medically that forces our body to be in a sluggish or slow state, thereby we are not exerting as much energy, we are not putting out as much as possible, and therefore we're also not desiring to eat as much as possible?
Yes. There are medical conditions that cause that. I mean, the one that comes to mind are thyroid abnormalities.
Okay.
So something like hypothyroidism, that's hypothyroidism. It results in low energy output, sluggishness, weight gain, all of those things. And it also can be associated with loss of appetite because you're not putting out a lot of work. You're not putting out you're not exerting a lot of energy. So obviously the need to eat is also reduced. And so this is a case that can easily fall into what you are describing. There are others as well, but this is the commonest that comes to mind immediately.
Okay. Now back to my other question. So for those of us who want to lose weight, is there any way of inducing or triggering loss of appetite?
Well, so appetite is a complicated, or it's a complex signaling system where, I mean, even though you know that it's time to eat or you know that you are hungry, you don't just get up and start eating anything you see. You don't just enter the fridge and eat anybody's food because you are hungry. Because there's also the conscious control of appetite.
Okay.
And so what I mean is, yes, your body may be telling that it's time to eat. I'm hungry, get me food. But you are in control as to when you actually decide to sit down and eat.
Okay.
So somebody trying to lose weight can decide that even instead of eating 2 plates of food, I will limit myself to 1 plate. That's the conscious control.
Okay.
And that's where weight loss, there's a lot of self-control when it comes to weight loss, because you decide I'm going to stay off carbs, I'm going to stay off this and that. Nobody's going to force you, but
the
you
food is nice.
The food is nice, very true, you see. However, and
when you're in your office and you can smell the you have
aroma. To change the office. Because again, once you begin to smell the food, once the aroma enters your nostrils, it activates the appetite center. So immediately you notice you start salivating, you start feeling, suddenly your stomach was quiet. Now suddenly there's rumbling all over the place, because it's anticipating that once I smell the food, it means the food is coming to me. So it's one of those things. But let me just chip in that weight loss, the principle of weight loss, is that you need to actually eat when it's time to eat.
Okay.
Sometimes people assume that because they are trying to lose weight, they will skip meals. And research will tell you that people who skip meals actually end up not losing as much weight. In fact, people who skip meals actually gain weight, because when you skip meals, you tend to make up for that skip meal in your next meal. So you probably were eating 3 or 4 times a day. Now you say you want to lose weight, so you're going to skip 2 of the meals. So you're going to eat maybe breakfast and then supper. What people tend to do is that because they've skipped the meal and they are very hungry, instead of eating 1 bowl of kinky, they end up eating 2.5 in the evening. Now, this is evening. You ate 2.5 balls of kinky, you packed a lot of calories. Then you sleep within 2 hours. What happens to the calories that's converted to fat and stored?
Okay.
So
for use another day.
Which doesn't happen.
That day never comes.
You see, and so weight loss is a tricky thing, a tricky balance that you really have to find a way to make it work. It's better to eat small portions at regular intervals than to skip and then eat a big meal in the evening or in the afternoon, whichever.
Okay, so I have a couple of questions. One says here, this is coming from David in La. David is asking the question, why do people use alcohol to activate their appetite?
I think we've actually addressed this question before.
Oh, we have?
But you see, alcohol, it's actually a false experience.
Okay.
Alcohol in small quantities is a disinhibitor.
Okay.
However, alcohol in large quantities is an inhibitor, a retardant. And so in the initial phases, when people take a shot of alcohol, it makes them feel like they can eat. And so they tend to go and sort of perform, But if you compare their performance on that shot of alcohol to their performance without the alcohol, you realize that they actually did better without the alcohol.
Oh, wow.
But because of that disinhibitory effect, their
In
mind
your
is telling them
tells
that you did well, you did better with the alcohol than without the alcohol. So they will not believe you when you are saying what you are saying. But research has been done on this matter. So it's not me saying it. It's been proven already that alcohol actually makes you underperform in all regards, be it sexual performance, be it appetite. It's been proven already.
I see. Okay, so hi Kweku, please ask Dr. Wusu, what should I do? Anytime I eat a little food, I feel nauseous. Is that also appetite loss? This is coming from Na in Dansoman.
Well, this is not appetite loss. I mean, I can't give you a definite answer as to what exactly it is, but it's not appetite loss. It could be something else that is going on. It could be an reflux that you're having. It could even mean that you are pregnant. It could be that there's something else that is going on. And so what I would advise is that you report to hospital and then have them do some checks so that we can see exactly what the problem is that is going on.
Okay. And I guess it also depends on how long it's been going on for.
True.
Yeah, as well. Anyway. Another question here, this is from Timothy in Osu. Timothy is asking, is it advisable to take vitamins or blood tonic when you don't have appetite?
This is an interesting question. I mean, it's one of the things that we all do in the medical community, even in the general public. When you have loss of appetite, you go and buy a multivitamin because it will boost your appetite. So to an extent, it might hold some truth in it, because often our foods don't have adequate supply of the micronutrients that we need. And so when you get the multivitamin, it gives you some of the micronutrients. And these micronutrients definitely have a role to play. So they boost your system, they make them function more optimally. And obviously, if your system is functioning more optimally, it needs more fuel. Yeah. So in a long way, yes, multivitamins can boost your appetite. And they are good. So I mean, as much as possible, you can indulge in them. However, overindulgence is also a reality, so it's not something that you're going to be taking all the time.
Yeah.
Ultimately, natural sources are always better than artificial or processed sources. So if you can get the micronutrients from a fresh fruit, I would recommend the fresh fruit over the processed one. But if it's in a critical situation, let's say you're recovering from a malaria or something, and you need an extra boost, definitely the processed sources is available to you as well.
Okay, so some people say, and this is just me being extra. Some people say that vegetables, for example, when it comes to micronutrients, the ability for today's 1 kilo of whatever vegetable, cauliflower or lettuce or whatever, it's not able to deliver the micronutrients as, let's say, 1,000 years ago. What do you say to that?
I would
and therefore the need for supplementation.
Okay, so I would disagree on this level, because 1,000 years ago we had the wild type of fruits and vegetables. Now, as the years have progressed, what we've realized is that the fruits we are having now let me use hybrid, in the sense that they are picking. The natural selection is selecting the ones that are hardier, the ones that are actually making the vitamins or more micronutrients more available to you, the individual. And so I'll say that it's possible that the ones we have available now actually have higher content than what was available then. The challenge, however, is that we are using a lot more chemicals to grow our food now. So even though we may be getting more of the micronutrients from the particular fruit, we're also getting more of the contaminants, so it's a little bit of the good with the bad, and that's what we are facing today, because we have a lot more chemicals in our food, in our water, in our air than those days. So even though there's more micronutrients available now, it may not be as effective, because it's combating a lot more pollutants now than then. It's in the same argument, you realize that people who actually live and work in the farms tend to be healthier than those of us who live in the cities, and it's still with the same pollution argument. Of course, now, unfortunately, Galamsey is trying to change the dynamics, but that's a topic for a whole other discussion.
Yeah. All right, so finally, let's wrap up on the appetite loss conversation. So for those somebody's sitting there and has, let's say, for the last 3 days, has noticed that they're just not interested that much in food. And so we say to ourselves that, okay, I don't feel hungry. All right. Now, what's the solution?
So before I answer the question specifically, there's one aspect that I forgot to mention, mental health. Now, change in appetite is also one of the initial markers for mental health status. So somebody who is struggling with depression could actually suffer from loss of appetite. But of course, another person suffering from depression could also suffer from overeating. So that's why I say change in appetite.
Okay.
Because if you know that this is how I am, and then suddenly there's a change, or you know your partner, this is how your partner is, and suddenly this person is not eating and it's going on for months, one of the possible causes could be a mental health issue. And so that person needs to seek help as quickly as possible. And I think that has also answered your question, because we've spoken about several causes of loss of appetite.
Yeah.
So if you do a checklist of your own self and you notice that, okay, I have lost appetite, but I don't have any headache, I don't have any fever, I don't have any other symptoms of illness. I've taken my multivitamin, it's still not helping me. I just don't feel for food. I recommend that you report to hospital and have a thorough assessment of whatever is going on, because in as much as bacteria and malaria and all those other things can cause loss of appetite, something like cancer can also cause loss of appetite. Depression can cause loss of appetite. So the earlier we know what is causing your situation, the earlier we can intervene and then find the root cause and then deal with it. Because until that root cause is dealt with, and that loss of appetite may never, you may never overcome it. Okay. And then you may begin to suffer the complications of weight loss, ulcer, and other things that we don't want.
I've heard asthma can cause loss of appetite. How true is that?
Well, you see, asthma, when the person has an asthma attack, he or she cannot eat anyway, because the difficulty in breathing will not allow you to eat. In fact, when you're treating a person who has had asthma, is currently undergoing an asthma attack, you don't, as part of the instructions, no feeding. So that person must actually get out of the attack before we even feed. So asthma, we will not say asthma causes loss of appetite in that regard. Okay. Because even as part of the treatment, we will even feed that person until the asthma attack has passed. So it's not part of the immediate causes of loss of appetite.
Okay, what about diabetes?
Well, diabetes is a yes and no situation. We call diabetes starvation in the midst of plenty. Yeah. You see, because the person has a lot of sugar in their blood. A lot of sugar in the blood, because insulin is not able to do its job. But because insulin is not doing its job, the sugar is not entering the cells. Because the sugar is not entering the cells, the body is still telling you that you are hungry, even though you have a lot of sugar. Yeah. And so diabetes tends to make people want to eat more. But then they are losing weight. In spite of the eating a lot more, they are losing weight. So diabetes will not cause loss of appetite in and of itself, except maybe the person has a malaria on top of the diabetes or some other infection. Okay. Diabetes rather cause an increased appetite with weight loss. And that is how the presentation of that, especially type 1 diabetes. And then type 2 diabetes, the person would usually be overweight. And then when the insulin level is not able to accommodate, is not able to deal with the sugar, then you have what we just described, which is the eating more and beginning to lose weight.
Yeah. Okay, so finally, the micronutrients that we have in our body that we take in our diet, is there any of them that can actually trigger, like too much of a particular micronutrient can actually trigger
a loss of appetite?
Yeah.
So not exactly. It will not trigger a loss of appetite. But you see, too much of the nutrients it's not too much of anything is not good. Because even something like vitamin C, which we all encourage everybody to take, too much vitamin C can actually cause nosebleed. And so too much of everything is bad. So just take enough for the day. And when you actually take any bottle of multivitamin, they will tell you what the recommended daily dose is and how much is in that whatever capsule or liquid that you are taking. So they'll actually give you the range so that you know that I'm not taking too much. Yeah. And it's very helpful that you read around that so you know what you're getting yourself into.
Okay, all right. So if people are watching right now and they have more questions, how do they reach you?
Well, you can get me on social media at Kelvin Owusu MD on all social media channels.
All right, so that was Dr. Kelvin Owusu, who is the Medical Director for Optimal Care Diagnostics.